Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak, guys. My name is Noor, and I was asked to make a Ramadan Ruby. For this video, I think I'm going to talk about a few ayats from Surah Al-Baqarah that I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with. The ayats are, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. And the approximate translation of those ayahs from the clear Quran is, and we will certainly test you with a touch of fear and hunger and loss of property, life, and crops. But give good tidings, give good news to those who patiently endure, as-sabirin, who when disaster strikes them, they say, surely to Allah we belong and to Him we will return. A lot of times when people talk about these ayahs, they focus on sort of operational definitions of sabr. What does it mean to be among the sabirin? What does it mean to be patient? But I want to go in a little bit of a different direction. And I want to talk about what happens to people when they start to embody the attitude of being a sabirin, when they start to live by mantras like inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And I think it starts by acknowledging the blessings that we're given. We are the benefactors of Allah's blessings, but we are not the owners, and we are definitely not the sources of those blessings. We get those blessings from Allah because He is merciful enough and loving enough to bless us, and not necessarily or not at all because we have earned them or because we deserve them. And this becomes especially apparent during Ramadan. It is a privilege to be able to fast during Ramadan. It is a privilege to go without food and to go without water on purpose, to purposefully forego, to have it available and to decide not to eat and not to drink. That is a privilege that not a lot of people have. How many people in North Carolina can say that they're fasting, because they want to? How many people across the world are going without food and water entirely by choice? And from among those people who are not able to do it entirely by choice are people who, almost definitely work harder than we do. And they sleep less and they struggle way more than we do. Who for all intents and purposes from a very materialist, like dunya perspective, we would say that they deserve those blessings more than we do. And once you see that disconnect between a person's sort of spiritual or religious or spiritual or physical effort and their material outcomes, it becomes a lot easier to recognize that, our blessings are not from us, they are from Allah, that everything we have is from Allah. There's an analogy that I really like, which is the analogy of the gardener. So there's some people who, when they get seeds, for example, when they plant a seed, when they get a plant, they'll put it in really nice soil. They'll be careful to leave it in front of a window and to water it every day. They'll be very diligent in taking care of it. And still the plant won't grow. They will struggle to even get the plant to sprout. And then there are other people who will get a plant and then they'll forget about it and they'll leave it in a corner of their room, or they'll forget to water it entirely. And when they finally come back to it, they'll find that it's grown, that it's still alive even. And in those cases, it's a lesson that success, in growing that plant, that blessings are not from us. Of course, we tie our camels. We use the means that are available to us and we try our best using those means. But ultimately, what we get out of our efforts is entirely in the hands of Allah. You might water the plant, whatever the plant is in your life. But it's Allah that decides to make that plant grow, So what does that mean for us? What does that mean for people who are trying to be as-sabirin? What does it have to do with patience? Well, it's a reminder of the attitude that we should be adopting, not just this month, but also, after every month. An attitude where we're only giving the world as much regard as it deserves. There's a lecture from Imam Suleiman, where he describes the dunya as work for the believer. Being in this world is like work. And I'm sure some people, really love their jobs. Maybe you're your own boss and you set your own hours. But for the vast majority of people, we're going to work because we have some sort of task or objective that needs to be complete. And we're hoping that once we complete that task or complete that objective, we're gonna, walk out with a hefty paycheck and be able to go home. This dunya is like that. This dunya is dar al-aman. This dunya is not our permanent residence. And Allah makes it very clear to us what our purpose is in being here. That we're here to worship Allah and to do all of the things that come with that. And that's not just salah. It's not just fasting during Ramadan. It's in everything that you do. It's the way you think about yourself. It's the way you think about other people. It's the way you think about Allah, It's an attitude that you carry around with you. So if you want to be from among those who are sabirin, those who receive good news from Allah, like the ayah says, those who ultimately rejoice when you are rejoined with Allah, then we need to internalize the idea that everything that we get, everything that happens to us, are just stones. Stones for us to cross on a path to the akhirah. Every calamity that we face, every obstacle that stands in front of us is just a crossroads. It's an opportunity. Every time something happens, it's an opportunity. And we're given the chance to choose patience, to choose Islam, and to choose Allah. We ought to think less about, what it is that we're walking on, the actual obstacles that we're facing, the things that we're being given or not being given, and more about what it is that we're walking towards, the path that we're headed on, where it is that we're going to end up. I really want to encourage you all that inshallah this month of Ramadan, use it as an opportunity to reflect on what it is that you're valuing and how your actions align with those values. What path you feel like you're on. All right. Ramadan Mubarak and Assalamu alaikum.